So, apart from that, it looks and feels really pretty much like QPC1. There was no extra functionality, it was just a Windows version for QPC. Then, shortly after QPC2, version 2 appeared. The versioning scheme is logical, but admittedly not very practical to have QPC2 version 2, but it was the QPC for Windows version 2. With that, 16-bit colors were introduced, so Tony Tepe had written the color drivers for Q40 and QXL, and of course I implemented them for QPC then too. It now also supported a window mode, so previously it was full screen only, and for the machine back then that was pretty much the only option, but when better graphics chips became available with bitting that could do very fast copying of the QL screen buffer to the actual screen, window mode became really possible. It contained accelerated graphics routines, which were necessary because 60-bit graphics, the video memory became so big that the emulation really had to work very hard to move a window on the screen or something. Big chunks of data had to be moved, so I outsourced that work to PC code. So the whole system felt a lot snappier. Floating point was accelerated too, which just meant that I specifically adapted SBasic to use the PC floating point unit instead of the slow emulated 68K floating point code. One important step was also the introduction of the DOS device, which made all mass storage devices available to the emulated system, so I could access USB sticks or hard drives or anything directly. Pretty shortly thereafter, QPC2 version 3 saw the light. This was really a polishing release of QPC version 2. The wish list I got from users was so huge, and it started as a QPC version 2.1 something, and as the features I implemented, the list grew and grew, we decided it's another major step. It supported small stuff like wheel mouse, which you don't notice if it works, but you will notice if it doesn't work. It had power management because laptops became also more prevalent, and the old, normally if you write an emulator, you want it to run as fast as possible. That was the philosophy of QPC. And that means that the host CPU, the input CPU, also was always employed, because it didn't know when SMSQ wasn't doing anything. So that was an important point to save battery on laptops, computers. I implemented group Beeper emulation, which was necessary because the old one was basically taken from Tony Tepe's QXL code and relied on the beeper on the PC beeper to output its stuff. The problem is that under NT line of operating system, NT 2000 XP, you don't have access to the beeper. So I implemented new emulations that use the direct sound or the sound card of the systems to emulate it, and it's amazingly difficult to emulate the old scrappy sound of the QL. I even had a disassembly of the coprocessor, the 1849, and looked how the sound was generated and tried to somehow do it myself, yes. One more thing, sampled sound support, which was introduced by Tony Tepe in the Q40 and was now also supported to be finally to QPC2. TCP/IP support was much requested back then. I thought, okay, why not? Not too much came out of it from the user or programmer perspective, but it works, so everybody can try it. And one of the last changes in that line was that QPC got a real 68020 emulation core, which was a request George Quill had for years, and I didn't have the time for him. And finally said, let me do it, and I gave him the necessary source code so he could write it. I have rewritten it afterwards, but without his starting thing, it would never have happened. So George Quill is to thank for that. Well, short demonstration. Is in order. So this is the most recent. Okay.
It's still the PowerPoint, yeah.
Okay. This is now my normal QPC as I use it. One can already recognize it's much more colorful. So I'll come back later to that, but I did many improvements to the graphic system. If you notice, the arrow is translucent. I implemented real alpha blending for sprites, which was just for fun, but I liked it. And I implemented new window manager with, you see the gray color. It could be any color. The application will adapt to the user choice of color. 3D borders. I think here, if you hover over this, you will see that it turns gold. If you leave, it will be bronze again. So, graphic gimmicks, which I did just for fun, but yeah, I do this for fun, so that's the basic motivation. One more thing here, you can see a golden cursor. That won't work. The display refresh frequency is too low. There's even a variant of the cursor that fades in and out slowly, so yeah, it's for playing around. And one more thing I was asked to show. Okay. Okay. Huh? I thought I had memorized it, but obviously no. Excellent. So that's the Unity desktop. You can see it. I don't really use it myself because in that respect I'm really old school. But as an example, what could be possible. Okay, that's not too far from that. You already have those folders and can run programs. Okay, that's an impressive program. But auto properties, it's a bit like Windows and so you can all the properties of this shortcut and the icon and whatever. So
where were there two folders with identical names?
which what?
Clock. There are two folders with identical names. How come?
Don't ask me.
That's a nice bug, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not really a bug because that's a different bug. So, I mean, you can.
You should allow them the same name.
Why not?
Wow.
Okay. As I said, I just did it to test.
Yeah.
For test leads, I don't really use myself, but it's nice to see that what's possible. But that's really pushing the boundary quite a bit. So he already had many problems getting that far, and even further is more difficult. So I would say moving right on. time this issue here. For anybody that's interested, the development tools I used for QPC. Back then, Borland, if anybody knows the name, was a big developer for development tools, and Borland and Assembler and Microsoft Assembler were the choice back then, and back then the choice of real Microsoft was crap. And Turbo, everything was Borland back then, basically. For QPC2, that was a bit different. Version 1 and version 2 was then compiled using Microsoft C compiler for the C parts, but the assembly parts were still in Turbo Assembler from Borland. And it was really non-standard. One could tell that the origin was DOS, so I had to port it like that. Version 3 then, I had to switch to a new Microsoft compiler because I actually don't own, I don't have a PC anymore. That's my work laptop and that's the work environment, so I had to switch. And I had to switch to Microsoft Assembler because Turbo Assembler wasn't maintained for over 5 years at that point, and it was just too old, didn't miss new commands, and was really not usable anymore. So in the end I used Visual Studio to port the development. Some words about the emulation core. It was in the beginning 68000 compatible, but told itself that it was 68010 for one reason, because the 68000 couldn't do read and writes at odd memory addresses. So at address 0 it could, at address 1 it couldn't. And if I wanted to implement that, I would have to check every memory address. And there are millions per second, if it is odd or even. And I didn't really want to do that. So I said it's a 68010, which could do that. Could do those addresses. And in the end, it wasn't. 68010 had other features, but it was a trick to get by. Back then, I had to really pull many dirty tricks just to get the speed. Today, I would do many things differently, but, well, that's 15 years ago. As mentioned, George Quill made it 68020 compatible. The core itself is between 8 and 9,000 lines of Intel assembler. The interface, that's for the technical people, the interface between the emulation and the PC side is through the line A emulator. So every command that starts with an hexadecimal A at the beginning, QPC recognizes as a comment. And I think on the next slide I have a few examples. So if there's a comment A200 that asks the PC, does serial port number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 exist? And that's the way the whole interface works. And that's also the way, the interface goes in one way. SMSQ can ask something from the PC and it can answer. The PC cannot initiate events in the emulation, not really. So it's it can't access the devices under SMSQ, only the other way around. The SMSQ side can tell, can you open the file for me or something, but not that one. Memory management. That should mean not memory, but power management. That was the one feature mentioned previously. I'll just skip on it, that's not important now. Some words from SMSQ was originally written by the author of QLOS, Tony Kevy, most of know him. Co-developed by me since 1996, but back then I kept it really separated, so I did everything that was concerned by QPC and he was responsible for the rest.